Hello everyone, today we will be discussing about languages and it will serve as an introduction. I will discuss two main topics. The first one is the human language design features, which includes the comparison between animal and humans languages. And I will be discussing also the origins of human language in separate video. The first one is the human's language design features. There are about 9 or more differences between human language and animal languages. We can assume that there are some similarities between human and animals' languages, but there are also some differences. And I will be outlining those 9 differences. Those are use of sound signals, arbitrariness, the needs for learning, duality, displacement, creativity, patterning, reflexivity, and culturally transmitted. The first one is use of sound signals. Some animals have unique communication way, but sounds is very common. Every human being and animals can produce sounds, but what makes us different with the animal sounds? Like a bee dancing. The bee can produce sounds while making a dance, which signifies the whereabouts of a source of nectar. But this type of methods is not as widespread as the use of language. It is only employed by the bees, but not employed by grasshoppers, birds, cows, monkeys, and so on. So the use of sounds is no way unique to those animals because it's only specified to certain groups of animals. The second one is arbitrariness. Humans' language is arbitrary, while animals' language has intrinsic connections. What we mean by being arbitrary? The animal's language has intrinsic connections. It is not arbitrary. A cat, for example, it will try to arch its back, it will spit, and it will sometimes appear ready to punch to warn off its enemies. But in humans' language, it is quite arbitrary because the signals might be different with the message. For example, an angry person might not show his or her anger. There is no link whatsoever between the signal and the message. So the symbols used are very arbitrary. Another example is the word elephant and the animal which symbolize elephant is different. The word crocodile and the word and the animal which symbolize the word crocodile doesn't have any relations. There is a need to learn in humans' language because humans' language is culturally transmitted. It is not acquired directly by humans, but then humans need to do some acquisitions and learning process. See also the point E. A human brought in isolations will not be able to acquire language, as is shown in some studies of children brought up by animals without human context and then brought into humans' world, such as the case of Ginny as well as Tarzan. Although the Tarzan is fictional characters, but the concept is quite correct here that there is a need to acquire and learn a language. The next one is duality. Language has two layers because human language works quite differently to animals' language. Each language has a stock of sounds unit. The basic sounds quite similar with the animals, but the variations is bigger. Usually, the average number of sounds in each. Next, creativity, which means that using humans' language, humans can create understandable utterances which have never existed before. You might remember that you find new terms each year. Like you in 90s, probably you never heard about Google, but then you heard about it. In 2010, you never heard about TikTok, and now you heard TikTok. So you can TikToking, you can do TikTok, you can go TikTok, and so on. Those are the proof of the creativity or the productivity of humans' language. There is no restrictions found in humans' language which related to the creativity. So humans can produce novel utterances whenever they want to. A person can utter a sentence which has never seen before, which has never been heard before, and you can also create your own term for certain things. So, for example, there is a purple platypus crawling across the ceiling. Maybe your friends consider that you might get drunk or drugs, but they can still understand the words spoken. Or another expressions which is quite common, there is a butterfly in my stomach. People will not understand these expressions, but they can understand your meaning that there is anxiety. Displacement is another characteristics of human language, which is ability to communicate things which are present and which are absent. Humans can talk about something close to them and something which are not close to them. Human language can communicate about things that are absent as easily as when those things are present. This apparently a rare phenomenon known as displacement. It also happens occasionally in animals' world, especially in the honeybees' expressions of when they talks about the whereabouts of honey. But then it is very limited to certain groups of animals and also very limited to certain functions only. They can inform each other about where the honeybees, where the honey, but then they cannot do something else other than expressing those which are not present. But humans' language can cope those any subjects, whatever it is, and it doesn't matter how far the topic, how long the topic are separated from you in time and in space. The next one is patterning. Patterning is quite similar to productivity, which is creating understandable utterances which has never existed before. So, for example, you have certain phonemes A, B, S, and T, and then it's an B, S, and T. So you can make some variations through sounds, including you can create bats, taps, steps, and best in English. Although probably you cannot create spat in English or STBA in English, but then it doesn't mean that you are limited. The next one is reflexivity. It is the ability to talk about the language itself. Unlike animals, humans are more free in expressing emotions using language. So you might see that humans scream, grunt, sob, gesture, and so on. They can elaborate those expressions in language to cover and to confirm more primitive signals, more than the animals can do. The last one is culturally transmitted. Humans acquire language in culture. The animals know about language and sounds without learning because this is genetically inherited. But human needs to learn to produce sounds, not from parental genes, but humans can get the language through exposure. An example is that a Korean, which is adopted and brought up by English speakers in the US, will inherit the physical natures from his or her parents, but then he will inherit English speaking from her English speaker parents. So these are some features of human languages which makes the human language different to the animal's language. Thank you so much.